All right, so welcome everybody. My name is Justine, and we have 9 panelists joining us today during this meeting. Please help me welcome. We have Laura Hassan. She's our Vice President of Real Estate Sales. I think you're on mute, Laura.
Yep. Hi.
We have Mario, our Resort Manager.
Hello, everyone.
We have Miranda, our Vice President.
Good morning. Well, afternoon, everybody, depending on where you are.
We also have Joe Haley, our CEO and President.
Hello, everybody.
And then we also have all of our we have a few of our partners and owners here as well. We have Brett, Chris Hahn, and Matt Haley.
Hello.
Hello, everyone.
All right, so before we get started, we just wanted to say thank you for joining us for this resort update meeting. If you guys did not have a chance to join us during the last meeting, which was held a few weeks ago, no worries, because you can just reach out to Owner Services and they can send you a link to the recording. So today we're going to be discussing the progress update and the strategic plan based on the 4 R's. So if you guys remember from the last meeting, the 4 R's are to reorganize, restructure, raise, and what's the last one, Joe? Resolve. So our main focus,
Justine, this is only our strategic plan for our team for the entire year.
I know, so many R's. Okay. So our focus is to stabilize internally before we move forward. We're also going to be talking about the service agreement that went out recently. We understand that we had a lot of owners that had some questions and comments, so we did take your feedback into consideration and we did update the service agreement, which Laura will be talking about. And this meeting is going to be this meeting is going to be a presentation format because, we just want to keep this short, not short, because this is going to be a long presentation. But however, we do want to make sure that your opinions and questions are heard. So we are going to have and offer a small group discussion, Zoom discussion with the team, if you guys are interested. We did this 2 weeks ago. We had an on-site breakout session with some owners on site. And so we're open to do this again in the future via Zoom. So if you guys are interested in doing this, please let Owner Services know and we will schedule a time to do that. All right. So yeah, let's get started.
Awesome. Thank you, Justine. You can send them all out. I'm going to be really quick on this slide. So
okay.
Hopefully it won't be a long presentation unless, Justine, you have something in mind. That wasn't our intent here. It was to be focused, and we value everybody's time, and we appreciate you being here. And the 4R plan is important for the company, for the resort, and our owners. And since the last meeting, I guess almost 4 weeks ago, we made it clear then that we want to be held accountable for our ability to execute on our plan, and we're going to be fully transparent with how we're doing. And then of course, get your involvement. We had 1 breakout session, as Justine mentioned, and we want to have more. So we're going to quickly go over how we're doing in the last 4 weeks, and then focus the discussion around the service agreements and questions, because that's an integral part of our plan. So if we go to the next slide, Justine.
Sure.
I think the first major advancement that's very encouraging, and I think not only for us, but for owners as well, especially after I got to listen to folks on site, is the updating of our sanitary plant and water solution is number 1 on everybody's list. And I'm pleased to share we've made some remarkable headway in a short term, given Miranda's excellent work with a new sanitary and water partner that was on site last week for a few days. They're amazing. We're not going to disclose who that is yet. We're concerned, to be really frank, with some of the adverse folks that may want to hurt that relationship. So we're going to go over the presentation they gave us quickly to give you an idea of their solution, and it's compelling. and it's amazing. So let me briefly go through this group. They are an international group. They have over 800 plants they've installed. They do provide solutions for wastewater as well as potable water. And they've got a deep expertise across the world, and they've been professional, responsive, speedy. They're ready to go. They've been amazing. So we're really excited about this relationship. You can go to the next slide, Justine.
Sorry, my internet's a little bit delayed. I mean,
Okay.
yeah.
So as you
Yeah.
can see, they've worked with some massive international companies. They've got innovative solutions where their wastewater as well as their water plants are enclosed. So it limits the space required for our new facilities. And it's as good as we've seen. And we've had some other consultants help us with this. And they said this solution they have is amazing. So you can go on to the next one. You can see their wastewater system as well as their plant, and it is a desalinization plant. So, you know, we've done a lot of different studies on water, and as everyone knows, our water wells have been drying up. We've been adding water wells, adding storage, adding rainwater catchment. The issue with climate change is there's just not as much rain in Bocas anymore, and the aquifers aren't as full. And, you know, one of Enjoy Group's parting guides to us was you've got to get a desalinization plant so you have consistent water supply. Rain isn't going to do it, and wells aren't going to do it. So this particular company has that solution. The only reason it's possible is because we're big enough. They don't do this for small resorts. They did one in Costa Rica that you know well. Once we have the contract signed and everybody knows who it is, you'll see who it is. They're a huge group. So our ability to work together so that we can ensure they have adequate potable water distillation through desalinization as well as wastewater treatment is critical to the solution. They wouldn't do this for, you know, a couple of units, for example. You can see there's minimal visual impact, but after their site visit, it looks like they're going to put the plants in logistics. And they are proposing a brand new sanitary plant. If you remember our last call, we talked about an updating of our plant with a provider from Panama. This particular international provider wants to replace the entire thing and use the tanks, but do a brand new system. So I think that's beyond exciting, right? And then the desalinization plant would augment our current water sources, but they would be in logistics. The desalinization pump itself would have to be on the windward side of the island, and it's a small pump station. This is new to me and Miranda and team on how this works. It's been fascinating, but it doesn't take much space where the pump is. So it'd probably be located near the Point restaurant where you know, the Pueblo, the commercial village is planned, and it won't be seen much. So I think it's a great solution. Okay, Justine. So one key component for us was that it follows our green vision, Green Globe's vision and values, and this will reduce our greenhouse emissions by 30%, and it will improve our effluent. Effluent is the liquid discharge from the system. So that was one thing that Miranda made it clear to them that was important in our scope, and they of course think that's important to theirs as well. In terms of the proposal that we're expecting here in the coming days, it is a 15-year contract. They're putting up all or most of the money, most of the investment. You're talking about millions of dollars. So they need a long period of time to recover that, because we want to keep the prices low for you and for Oceans Group and Selena and IGY and others. So it is going to be a 15-year term. They preside overall the design. They interface with our team on logistics, installation. It's a very quick install, which is great. We do have some work, being Oceans Group. We're going to do the permitting, which of course Miranda, Wonder Woman, is already advancing on with the permitting, and then we'll have to do some site civil works like concrete pads for the pump station, for the desalinization, as well as some distribution. So we don't have the total budget on our portion yet, but it'll probably be somewhere between $30,000 and $50,000. So very low in compared to, the 136,000, let's call it Band-Aid solution, updating our current plant on potable, and this would be, or on sanitary, and this will be for both. So very similar costs to our current system. I think that'll be a shock to many. And we'll have new consistent production. The desalination plant will do up to 50,000 gallons a day with the ability to expand. You can see these are decentralized units, which is more water than we need, and also anticipates the growth of the new Blue Pearl units, the Cliffs units, the 2 Jungle Lodges, and the villa we're working on. So everything that this company put forth was with those in mind. And then of course, in the far future, whether that's the Pueblo and other villas that we build, hotels and so on, this is an expandable solution. So this is really an amazing work, and it's a smaller amount of money for us to come up with. And that's, it's still a lot of money, but to have this solution at a very similar cost with consistency, it's groundbreaking for us and owners. I can't emphasize enough how excited we are about it. And if you compare the cost that this is going to be, remember, they're going to operate it as well. They'll have their own team operating both plants. We'll have consistent potable water, green sanitary effluent, and compare that to Bocas, where you get water for $7.50 a day, and you only get it for three hours a day, and it's brown water. It's not even potable water. So we're going to have the best at a very, very similar cost. And we'll let everybody know on the cost once we get the proposal, but it looks really close. So I think everybody will be really pleased with that. Okay, Justine. Okay, so we talked a little bit about their value proposition. They've got guaranteed performance. That was important to us. We don't want to get into this and then know that they're not going to be around. That's why it was also important that they're an international business, and they've worked with hundreds of companies across the world, big companies, and we know they're reputable. It's very fast and easy to install both plants. Once the contract's signed, it'll take a couple months, up to 4 months, to receive it. And during that time, Miranda can do her thing with permits, and we can do all our civil works, Oceans Group getting ready for them to arrive. So we've got a good plan forward. And next steps, this is their proposal, by the way, is finalize the commercial terms and execute the agreement. So like I said, we hope that's going to be in the next couple of days. So I'm very excited about it, and more to come. We don't have a signed contract yet, but these guys have moved faster than anybody we've seen, and they've got the best solution we've seen. So we're excited to work with them. Okay, so that's sanitary and water. I think everybody would agree that our priority. Let's move on to power. We have made progress there too. On the solar providers, I wish they moved as fast as the sanitary and water provider. They're not. We're still in due diligence period. Myself and Matt and Miranda are pushing for their final proposals, but we don't have those in place yet. We do have a new waste power solution that's being presented to us, which is really exciting. I don't have finances in place yet, but what they were on site 2 weeks ago with me when I was there. What they're proposing is essentially taking all of the trash from Bocas, Bastimentos, Bocas, Red Frog, and having a waste plant that converts it to energy. So it's totally green energy. So that's something we're really looking at hard, but it's new, and we haven't ventured down the road too far yet, but just wanted to share with you that's another solution on top of solar. Our partners, our neighbors, have really started to come to the table, knowing where we're at. The same conversation we had a month ago. We're bringing folks in, being transparent about where we are and where we go. And IGY is agreed to the higher prices that we're charging, so it's more consistent with owners to try to cover not all of our costs, but hopefully some of them. They've also agreed to invest in infrastructure. If you recall, one of the power short-term investments we want to make is a $150,000 investment in a 500 kW diesel plant that we can have short-term until we have our solar solution, our main grid connection solution. And then that'll also be a backup. So that's an important investment that they've agreed to participate with. Selena has also agreed to the higher prices and also open to participate in the infrastructure investment. Miranda has been able to finally meet with ASEP and Naturgy over the last 2 weeks, which is great. You can see the picture there with ASEP. It was Miranda plus what, 14 people, I think, going over, in ASEP, I know it gets confusing, and I think they're even a little bit confused because we're outside of the concession zone. So they don't really totally know how to handle us. But Miranda's really pushing for price, that they set the price. We don't want to set the price for short-term energy. And then she's also pushing them on them using their influence as a regulator to push Naturgy for a main grid connection. And then the Naturgy meeting went well also. I think the big bone of contention with the Naturgy meeting is our lawyers, and we believe they need to update the power line from Bocas to Bastamentos. And then we and Selena and IGY and others would invest in the line from Bocas to Red Frog. And then we'd get 90% of that capital back in 7 years. They are contending that they shouldn't have to pay from the line from Colon to Bastamentos, the upgrade. And we're not in agreement on that. We believe the law is clear. They haven't been able to service that community. So it's their investment. So that's really the one hurdle. If we had all the money in the world, we would just say, okay, we'll pay for it. You get 90% back anyway in 7 years, but we don't. So at this point, that's the hurdle. I think maybe we mentioned, third-party resort providers and due diligence. That's going, I would say, exceedingly well. I can't share who that is, but the two front runners have both had multiple site visits. I was with one group for 3 days while I was there, and subsequent discussions with our entire team on both over the last couple of weeks. They're both extremely interested. And if you recall, that solution is outsourcing our services, all of our services, to another group, so that we would be out. Oceans Group would really be doing real estate sales and development. So this is a really important thing. This is what you all tell us you want. This is what we want, at least being me and Miranda. So we're working hard for that. And as a segue into the service contract, the two front runners, for example, one this morning emailed me, how are the service contracts going? So that tells you how important these service contracts are if we want to outsource our services. They want to know they have a real business before they come in and take over. The Point lease is complete. I think we mentioned that in the last call. Gary is the gentleman, our internet provider, who's doing it. He has a restaurant manager and a team, thank God. So we won't be having internet issues. I hope that he's diluted, but he's started renovation and he mentioned end of May for opening. So let's say June or July, knowing how it goes in Panama. So that's good. That's happening. We have received our first bid from a construction company to complete Blue Pearl. It's a good bid. And this is a good company. And if you recall, we're doing this. We're looking for 3 contractors that new owners will be able to choose from so that we're not building anymore, and complete the building that we've already started. We want to get expertise in and start building and not have it be us. And also, it was important to the banks that Miranda's working with that it wasn't OGI building these units. They wanted a construction company that could get a bond for a completion and it'd be more serious. So we got the first one. Miranda just started the second one, or took another step on the second one. We usually get 3 bids. If we can get 3 that owners can choose from and that we can choose from Blue Pearl, it's going to be great. And then finally, Palmar just showing you some of the solidarity of the neighbors in terms of our situation and our need to work together. They agreed. We had an issue with one of their sanitary lift stations, or one of our sanitary lift stations. They immediately agreed to fund the new pump. And that just shows you how our neighbors are coming together. IGY, Selena, Palmar, the grocery store, and we all need to come together to get through the challenge where we're at and be part of this plan together. So I think that's really encouraging, and hoping the owners join all of us that are making significant progress. So a lot of progress across many fronts just in 4 weeks. We're working really hard. And again, we'll hold ourselves accountable to you and keep reporting how we're doing. But a big part of the solution that we shared within the first meeting and have launched since then is the service agreements that are critical to outsourcing. So if you want to move to the next slide, Justine, and Mario can give you an update there.
Hello, everyone. Hope you are doing well. As you all know, we request this meeting just to solve our issues, also to become better as a result and as a family, the big family of Red Flag that we are. I will be talking about the services agreement. We've been receiving a lot of, well, solution from owner. So owner driving solution for shared services from group from 20 plus owners. Comprehensive, this will solve most all issues. This is a solution that you all was asking for. This services agreement will also protect owners and OGI as a company, which is, I think is fair. All owner pay for share costs. As we all know, this is a business. We need to have a contract for services. And honestly, I was talking to Joe this morning, Joe, Justine, Laura. I think we supposed to have this contract way before, but we didn't do it. So now I think we are here trying to do our best, and I think we will do it. So owner should want services provider to have contract to be healthy so that they can invest in infrastructure. And the most importantly is allow to escort services third-party operation. We also appreciate all the questions that we was received from owner all those days. That way we can become better, contrary to some noise up there. And this what we're doing here. This is our good faith of effort to solve all the issues, all what we want. So open adequate signature or the OGI will stop services for COA and provide directly to owner. So by now, we're sorry for the mishap with the sending agreement before summary. Just to let you all know also, the agreement, resident club owner that doesn't have to sign. The manager of the villa, he will be signing for them. Also, and Red Frog Inc., all the shareholder that doesn't have to sign it either. This is just a presentation. That way they can have all the information. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Mario. And if you can stay back on that slide for a second, I just wanted to get Chris's perspective too on this. Chris, would you mind giving your perspective on the service agreements? You're muted, by the way. Chris, are you there? Or did we lose him?
Oh,
Joe, can you hear me?
Oh, there you are.
Yes, Chris.
I'm sorry, I was on mute. No, I'd be happy to share some of my perspectives on the service agreement. OGI has listened to the owners, and we've made some changes and improvements to the service agreement. You'll be hearing more about that later. I think you'll be happy with the changes. The solution will work. It's not perfect. No solution is perfect, especially with all the challenges that we face. As I said before, it addresses most of the issues we're dealing with very effectively. But there's a small vocal minority that will say otherwise. Keep in mind that Red Frog's been around 20 years now. There's reason for that. OGI has done more good things than bad things over the years. That's not to excuse the bad things, which I've been personally vocal about over the years. Unfortunately, some owners will choose to only focus on the bad things, which has hurt the project. I choose to focus on what we can all do to fix things. I completely support the solution. This is a good thing. It gives us by far the best opportunity to protect our investments and help ensure Red Frog survives. Do the right thing and please support this initiative. On a personal note, for those of you who might not be aware, we lost a beloved member of our Red Frog family on Wednesday. Wayne Mayer passed away. You would be hard pressed to find owners like Wayne Mayer and Liz Ruck that love Red Frog as much as they do. You would also be hard pressed to find owners like Wayne and Liz that are more neighborly than them. They were always inviting owners over to their villa. Usually it was a breakfast feast, including Liz's famous French toast. Folks,
Yeah.
none of us are getting any younger. I would ask, in tribute to Wayne, let's finally put our differences aside and all come together for Wayne and the place he and all of us love so much, Red Frog. Thank you.
Well said, Chris. Thank you.
I just want to say something else. This morning, we received a feedback from an owner. He said that, okay, Mario, thank you so much. So sad that I'm leaving. The place is amazing. He was so sorry about this situation. So he felt about the contract services. That's a way that OGI say, I respect all of you as an owner. So we're doing this in our good faith and effort to solve all the issues. So I just wanted to share it with you all. That way you all can see that we are working hard to resolve all type of issues.
Awesome. Thank you, Mario, and thank you, Chris. That was heartfelt, and we feel the same. And you know, I think it's a good rallying call for everybody if we can think about it in that context, especially with where we're at. And I just want to note, since Mario and Chris were chatting, I got two texts to quickly respond to. One is the power connection main grid. Maybe I didn't speak it properly. There's two sections of the power grid connection. One is from Isla Colón to Old Bank Village. That's the portion that we believe Naturgy needs to fund. And the other one from Old Bank Village to Red Frog is we're accepting us, IGY, Selena, Palmar, others who want to participate that will fund in that. So there's no issue from Old Bank to us. But that's where we're at with that. And if you recall, 5 or 6 years ago, we had a contract directly from Isla Colón to Red Frog, and we paid $330,000 to get it going. And then they got the impact study done, and then they raised the price on us from 800 some thousand to over $3 million. So we weren't able to move forward. So that wasn't a great outcome from Naturgy. So this is a new solution that helps everybody, and we just need to get through that funding source in the first section. And then one other note, the desalinization plant, Miranda mentioned, and I forgot to mention this, is this is not only groundbreaking for us and for Bocas, but all of Panama. Mi Ambiente and the other ministries are already super excited about this because they're seeing the same issues across Panama. With climate change, it's changing potable water ability or potable water supply and folks' ability to make that happen. So this is kind of a big deal for everybody. So I think that's great as well.
And I'll bring up that, you know, if you do pay attention to Panama news, we are in extreme drought right now.
Yes.
Cows in the interior that are dying. You know, that just gives you an idea of how much drought is going on in Panama right now. The cows don't have enough to eat and drink.
Right.
Awesome. Okay, Justine, you want to move along?
Yes.
Okay, so all this good momentum, good progress, partners coming together, neighbors coming together, a fair amount of owners coming together. We do have a challenge, and you know, we believe we need to communicate it because this stands in the way from some of these good things that are happening and for our plan and our ability to execute. And the reality is we have a small group of adverse owners that are leading initiative to disseminate information that's not accurate, and it's primarily negative, and it's just not productive. And it's getting in the way of us being able to execute on our agreements and on everything that we're trying to do. So we want to go through these, and not all of them, we don't have all of them, and we can't even keep track with it all. But we want to highlight a few just so you know, consider the source where this information's coming. We've been here a long time. And we want to give you the facts so that you don't get misled by just a few people that are getting in the way and hurting all of our investments. So The first one that came out was this contract, the service contracts in violation of the PAMA law. That of course is not true. You can have contracts for services. There's nothing illegal about it. The next one, OGI needs a concession for power. Again, not true. This is coming from folks that just don't understand legality of Panama. We added 2 letters here from ASEP from 2007 and 2009 that make it clear we don't need a license to generate and transfer power. We're 500 meters out of the concession zone. Our team's been working on this for 20 years. We know exactly where we're at. We know we've made mistakes, of course, along the way, but it's certainly not illegal for us to generate power. In fact, it's absolutely approved by ASEP, which is the regulating authority. One adverse owner claims to be an expert in power and did an in-depth analysis and said that our power should be 55 cents a kilowatt, and that covers our costs and even some margin. And again, just not accurate. Consider the source. That is not accurate. We provided you with a third-party audit that showed 79 cents over 15 years by an independent agency that does understand costs, and that's the reality. But we thought we'd ask our expert to come on to give a little perspective as well. Matt, who is electrical engineer, maybe you can just give a few comments on our cost of power, at least short term. Long term, of course, we're going for solar or main grid connection, but hopefully, Matt, you can give some perspective on that.
Thanks. So going back almost 20 years, we keep really detailed books, Miranda, her team, on our costs and everything from transporting the fuel, longer distances for actually not very high amount of consumption compared to, say, an island like in Hawaii, where they're able to buy lots and lots of fuel and drive down that cost, but their costs are still in that 30, 40, 50 cents a kilowatt hour. And by keeping really close track of all the costs that it goes into for making that power, we do that on literally a daily, weekly, monthly basis. All the upgrades that we've needed to do, the complexity of having a medium voltage, we're basically our own utility, and accounting for all those things. Our books go back almost 20 years. So we know exactly what the costs are. There's no profits being taken. And me being in this world for over 30 years, really understand the hard part about running a utility. And it is very, very complex. And it was really nice to see that independent party come back with basically the same thing that we've been saying for a long time. And I'm happy to take any questions later offline from anybody got any deeper things they'd like to dig into. So thank you.
Thank you, Matt.
Thanks, Matt. Okay, you can move on to the next one, Justine. So just some more misinformation out there that we thought it important. Go back one slide, Justine.
Sorry.
That we get the facts out there so that you're not misled. One was that the costs are going to go up for this new sanitary system. Again, if you're reading these blogs and people are asserting this, or these emails that are being circulated, they don't know who we're partnering with. They don't know what the solution is. They have no expertise. They're not an engineer. They don't understand it. And they're asserting these things and they're scaring people. And it's not true. As I just shared, we already had from our sanitary and water provider that we're close to a contract, that it's going to be remarkably similar for a brand new system. So it's just important to know that this misinformation like this is damaging, especially when there's new owners and they're excited about living there, and they hear this stuff, they get worried, or prospects that somehow hear this stuff, that's the most damaging. And I already mentioned, just comparing the cost of our system, even if it was more expensive, we're getting consistent potable water. We're not going to have outages. We're going to have another company running both plants, and we're going to have a green sanitary plant that we don't have to worry about any issues. And it's a really good solution. So the costs, as soon as we know them, we'll of course share them with owners. But again, it's just not true when those assertions are being made. One was, we don't need OGI. Let's do everything ourselves for utilities and services. And where in many respects, we would love that, to be really straight. We don't necessarily want to be doing all this, but the reality is we are a centralized resort. It's private property. We've designed it in a way that would meet with Panama law and regulations. And for sanitary, for example, no, owners cannot do individual sanitary mound systems or septic systems, whatever that would never be allowed by Mi Ambiente. So that's not possible. Short-term rentals are not possible without OGI, or hopefully soon our new service provider, for the short term, unless they have a license. Long term, of course, it can be done. You could install water and solar tile roofs. This is a new, I think, solution we've added to the service agreements, and this was because of hearing from you. And Laura will talk more about this, but it is costly. It is difficult to maintain. And it is something that we can do, but we just got to make sure it fits within the bounds of our system or the new provider system. So and very much, I think looking at this spirit together, we're all together in this. We need to make sure we're all working together if we're going to get the utilities updated and make sure that the resort is stabilized for everybody. Some of the adverse owners have been claiming to employees as well as other owners and partners that they're going to bankrupt the company in a short time and then they'll take over and buy it. And I'll just be straight, that's not how it works. And this is just from a lack of understanding of Panama business, law, culture, our security situation, the value of our project, and so on. They just understand that's not how it works. The reality is, if they do that, if they're successful, and we, all of us, are not together successful in stopping it, then they close the resort. And more likely, this is going to be really hard to hear, but the ghost becomes the resort becomes a ghost town, like back in 2007 after the strike. So we just want to be straight with that. What they're saying is wrong, and what they're doing puts the entire resort at risk of closing. And this is just, we're talking about 4 or 5 people that are leading this out of 300. And the other thing is that part of what they don't understand either is, this is private property. They can't just take over. It's not like some project all owned by a bank in Miami. This is absolutely different. And they really don't understand what's happening. So again, we're in this together. Let's stay united. Let's get through these projects. Let's get the service agreements out. We've updated them. Laura's going to go over them. And we're really together in this until we're outsourced. So we know that you're looking for new leadership, and we want it too. And we're doing everything in our power to make that happen. And we're doing what owners have asked for. And we really just can't allow these couple of folks injecting their poison and really just mass misinformation out to other owners, scaring them and telling them things that aren't true that hurt us all. So you can go on to the next slide, Justine, please. Last couple of the things, again, we could address more, but just a few. One of the comments was a COA is the only thing protecting you and your property from OGI. And again, I don't need to beat a dead horse, but this is absolutely the opposite of what's happening. It's actually, their actions are actually, fundamentally hurting the resort. One of the things was one of the misinformation statements, it's the COA's job to protect owners from being taken advantage. Again, this is not true. The COA's job is to lead gardening, security, storm sewer, and beach cleaning for a small area of our project, and negotiate contracts with Oceans Group for services, which they haven't been able to do. And I think everybody knows how hard we worked at it. I think William from Enjoy Group and Chris and all those involved can attest of the good faith we put forward to try to get an agreement, and they just didn't want to do it, no matter how much we gave. So, and that links to the next one. OGI is asking owners to give up their rights. And again, that's absolutely not true. We did everything in our power to make that happen. They breached their obligation of Section 54 of the COA regulations by not getting the contract. So the solution the owners gave us, the service agreements that include shared services, take care of that. So we have a solution. And I think adding to Mario comments about the service agreements, these aren't just about Oceans Group and getting third-party services. That is our primary focus, because that's what you want and that's what we want, correct? But this also protects you. These service agreements, you'll notice on the schedules that come with them, have pricing, and they limit price increases. So So I think you'll be pleased with the updates that Laura will go through that make them a lot more two-sided. Really, I think some of the feedback was they were one-sided, and I think that's fair to some extent. And we changed that. So this is also about protecting you. You want to have limits on price increases. So we really looked at this two-sided. And again, the misinformation out there isn't helping, although I think we fell a bit on our communication of the service agreement and also some of the things we missed that I think we've made right, that you'll see in a second. And then finally, the COA will get their own service provider and go around OGI. This is also not true. The regulations are clear that COA has to make a contract with Oceans Group for exclusive service providers. So again, they're just disseminating information that's not accurate, that's scaring people, that's damaging the project, and it's not productive. And one of the adverse owners, for example, told me 3 months ago, I met with this gentleman and he said, why don't we just dissolve the COA? It's a joke. Why don't we do that? And now he's one of the ones injecting this information out to everybody. That gives you an idea of what we're up against. Okay, you can go to the next one. So before we get into the questions, I just wanted to focus in on the impact of the misinformation and the few adverse owners and what they're up to. We continue to lose deals. If you're a prospect and you come to the resort and love it, but then hear about these negative blogs, or you run into owners that say, oh, it's a mess, don't ever come here, we have people trying to bankrupt it, what chance do you think you give Laura and the team to selling a unit? So a lot of people, some people have said, Joe, that can't be, and it is. I'm talking dozens of units. Sometimes it's not a smoking gun that but we included one here. This one was one particular client that was going to build a unit, which would bring some cash flow to the project and help us with things like infrastructure and golf carts. And he said right there, you can read it. I'm uncomfortable with owners airing their dirty laundry publicly, and I'm going to delay the construction of my unit. And you can use this to tell people, this is an example, stop puffing the negative out there and stop this, right? That's stopping progress. This is one of many, many examples. We're not going to go through a bunch, but this shows you how destructive just 4 or 5 folks are to what we're trying to accomplish together. And the reality is we're in a place that we have to come together to see this through. And we can't let these folks get in our way. The service agreements, if they get in the way, the misinformation gets away from these service agreements, which I believe is a great solution. I was so pumped when it was brought to us by the owners, by Chris and the group, Brett and others. This is a win-win-win-win for everybody. And now, especially with the enhancements to the agreement, if we can't get the contracts done, then we have no third-party service provider. If we don't have a third-party service provider, then we close the resort. So again, we cannot allow these folks to stop what we're trying to get at. And just to give you a perspective, some of I've talked to a lot of owners, as you can imagine, in the last several weeks. Some of the perspective is, geez, Joe, we don't want to pay more for sanitary or power and the sanitary and water thing. I think I've dispelled that myth that it's not going to be more. It'd be about the same or very little more. The power is short-term more until we get a long-term solution. But as you look at the misinformation out there and you're choosing, who should I listen to, right? Am I listening to a few guys that have no development experience, no hospitality experience? They might be able to lose their investment. I can't. I don't think any of you can. Think about who you're listening to with what's happening, and then think about perspective. So if power costs the next, let's say, year or two, a couple $100 more than, let's say, $1,000 more per year than you'd want, is that worth it to give us time to get to the long-term solution, get a new sanitary plant, a new water plant, preserve your investment? Or is it worth it to follow a couple of these folks that are trying to destroy the project for, let's say, $1,000 a year, and then we all lose all of our investments? I think it's clear it's not. And I think we have a lot of super smart owners, and I've got a chance to talk to a lot of those, especially I was at Red Frog for 5 or 6 days, and it was awesome. I got a chance to talk to a lot of folks that don't buy into this nonsense, these negative blogs, and they don't want to be part of it. So I hope you don't as well, because I think it's clear we've been here 20 years, we've made mistakes along the way, but we do have a good team. I hope you see that. I hope you see all these people on this call and the partners that we get to help bring us forward. And more than anything, it's simple. If we unite, everybody comes together, we get the service agreements done, we get it outsourced, we update our infrastructure, we follow our plan, this place is going to be amazing. But if we continue to fester in negative blogs and waste destructive energy on things that don't point to solutions, we're going to go nowhere. And I just want to be straight about it. So I hope we all come together. Okay, you can move on to the next slide. So just questions. I'm going to stop for a second and take a tea. Brett, I don't know if you wanted to add anything. Are you still on?
Yeah, I'm still on. Can you hear me?
Yes, right.
Okay. So this is so I'm a villa owner and a partner, and this is a necessary reset. It's a fresh start. It's an opportunity to work with professional providers and domain experts in their respective fields. It's a platform we can build upon, and it provides the reliability and scale needed until we connect to the grid, which is really what we all want and deserve. At this point in the evolution of the project, we have to come together. There's no choice. We have listened to many constituent parties, including feedback from both versions of the board of director, and we feel created the flexibility asked for. We are confident that with the reliability and service guarantees from these providers, that you will not want or need an investment in water catchment, but you have the option. You will want to renew your agreement automatically because the pricing and quality of the utility services have been fair and, more importantly, transparent. Look, everyone wants value. Everyone wants to feel that what is paid for is delivered. And when you get a chance to review the pricing exhibit, it includes the flexibility that has never been offered before. Many of the services are offered a la carte, including preventive maintenance. As such, the onus is on the service team to create a high quality, reliable offering that you will want to subscribe to, because it is the best option available. And that is really where the rubber meets the road. So that is the goal, quality and value. Now, while I'm an owner, of course, so I look forward to seeing this roll out, and I look forward to seeing the execution, which is paramount. I look forward to finally having the reliability and accountability built into these offerings provided by professional teams. That's something we really haven't had before. Ultimately, the reset gets the project to a safer place, and with the opportunity to create an environment where new buyers and investment can flourish. So we need to do away with any acrimony and fighting and more legal teams. It's not a path forward, and it's not sustainable. It will be amazing what we can accomplish working together. And this is very much the bridge that ends the conflict and creates a more positive environment. So I'm very heartened by the proposal. Chris, it's not just Chris and Joe, it's a partnership team that is coming together this document was thoroughly vetted and reviewed by many parties, many sophisticated parties that feel this is a fair offering and the chance to get us to the next level. So I'm more than anything, I'm just really excited for the next step, because I've been with the project since the beginning, and we all came together in 2010 during times that were much more difficult. So we can get through this, and we will. And I'm very heartened, and I'm grateful for the team, because it is I know them, and it is much more than just a few people. It is a lot of people who have provided their dedication over many years. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Brett.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to blaze through the question and answers because we're taking too much time. I'm probably too long-winded. I'm sorry, everybody. So if you go back one slide, Justine.
Okay, 1 second. Yes.
So name a third-party provider we can't disclose yet. Are a few owners really trying to bankrupt the project? Yes, we shared with you that. Should I pay less for power like some other owners are doing? No, We got confirmation from ASAP this week. You have to pay, and if you don't, if you short pay power, our power cost or power pricing, then we will be forced to shut off energy. There's nothing we can do about that. What if owners don't sign agreements? We talked about that. We need all the owners to sign agreements so we can get a third party outsourced company. Continue, Justine.
Uh-huh.
And we can send these, this will go out for everybody. You skipped 2 slides.
Oh, I did. I'm sorry. Right here, this one?
Oh, there,
Yeah, one other one.
before it,
That was it. Oh,
No,
the other,
there you go, that one. Jungle Lodge costs are high for pool patios landscaping. That was our mistake. Jungle Lodges and Cliffs are gonna have their own pricing, so their contracts will look different because they share pricing for pool patio maintenance and landscaping. There's nothing in the agreement. If service provider defaults, we added that to the agreement. Appreciate that feedback. What if I have 2 lots? You input the lots into the agreement, and Laura will talk about that. Okay, Justine, keep going. Oh, we got these all turned around. Yeah, so to go back up to the other one, sorry. I'll give the questions. It's go up one more. There you go. What if I have credits? Credits will be used, can be used, even though you're filling out the agreements from Oceans Group until we have a third-party provider. When the third-party provider comes on, you will not be able to use credits, but we will reach out individually to everybody with credits for a payment arrangement to make sure we take care of those. How do we close the COA? Owners call an extraordinary meeting to dissolve the COA. There has to be at least 70% of the owners agree. And what about the COA fees pending? We're assuming that question would be if it was dissolved, that would be handled after the dissolution by the COA and owners. Okay, so now we can move on to solutions. I feel like I'm an auctioneer trying to get through at this point because we're short. And I wanted to get to you, Laura, because this is solution driven and you're of course helping lead this.
okay, yeah, and I'll just say that if we don't get through it, we'll record real quick what I was gonna say and send it out. So I just want to talk about solutions. People have asked for open-mindedness and how do we move forward, and we are leadership has agreed. So water catchment was we say, fine, if you want to catch water, you're welcome to do it. It is important that you encase that just so that we can maintain the aesthetics of the resort. The next one is solar. Lots of people said they wanted solar options on their villas. So with the planned new solar provider, we will be able to allow folks to put a solar tile roof on their home, and that'll be for new home builds, or if someone wants to retroactively fit that to their house, they can do that. It will be expensive, but for some people it will be worth it. So more to come on how that will work. Joe mentioned that OGI has agreed to cancel the COA debt upon dissolution of the COA. Owner committee and forum. So we do, through this, we've learned about, I think we knew, but we learned that we have so many great business people as part of our owners. And so the team has come together to help us, and we're going to continue on that. So we're going to keep working and adding more members to an owner committee, a forum, so that the owners can have their voices heard. Changes to the service agreements. I just want to go through those a little. I'm going to check my notes here. So there were several suggestions. One of them was you needed to add a credit card. This is something we've changed on the new agreement. So there'll still be the option to do so. And if you do it, it'll be set up kind of like it is in the US, where if you have an auto pay, you get a discount. So there will be a discount for those people who add a credit card, and it's an auto pay. If you don't want to do that, then we will send you a link on a monthly basis that will allow you to pay online. So that's a really big improvement that I know Miranda's been working on for us. So thank you for Miranda. Owners also mentioned that they felt like the agreements needed terms. So we added a 1-year auto renew term to the agreement. And then the owners have the option of canceling with 30 days, all parties with a 30-day notice. To make it a little easier to understand, our team and myself will record a video going through each clause of the document that'll help you understand maybe a little more in layman's terms, the way we interpret it, and help you figure out how to complete the document. We have also extended the deadline for the document to May 15th. So we're gonna work hard on getting that video out to you over the weekend with the new agreements for signature. And then just something that I want to mention, as Joe mentioned, the current environment has made sales really for our team. And it's a snowball effect. So one of the ways that you can help contribute and make things better is that if you're interested in making a purchase of an OGI asset, such as a lot, those funds could be used to reinvest in the resort. So if you are interested in investing, I still believe it's a very good investment. Please reach out to me and I can help you with what options are available.
And just one note on that idea, that was actually also an owner-driven idea. I think it was buying a lot to have an owner pickleball court or something. I think it's a great idea. Where it helps us, we can use cash flow for resort updates, and it helps owners for an amenity for them. So we're open to those ideas, of course.
All right. We have Steve.
Yeah, this is Steve Bolton, and you might wonder why I'm on this. I'm a representative for the shareholders. Mary and I have been involved in the project for 18 years. And for 2.5 years, we've managed the resort in the early days. It wasn't the best management, but we did our best, and we did it with no compensation. And we did that because we believe in this project. And I should add that the shareholders believe in this project. All the shareholders have done nothing but invest money in. None of us have taken any dividends. And we believe in this project. We have a good group of shareholders. We have a committed leadership, but we need your help as well. So the reason I'm talking to you is, what can you do? Well, we're asking you to get involved, number one. Also, be ambassadors. Reach out when you're there or when you can. Be ambassadors for the project and stress the positivity. We also need to get the service agreement signed. This would be a huge help for everyone, and it would be enable us to move forward from this whole COA problem that we have. The biggest reason for this is for you to get involved and to do these things that we're asking is to protect your investment. We have nothing to lose by being positive. We have everything to gain. If we're negative, it's just going to be destructive. So I feel we've come a long way together. I know that I have, Mary and Joe and the shareholders and many, many owners. And I just hope that we can all come together and get behind this. I really like what Brett said about this is a bridge to the future. This is a bridge for us to move forward from this stalemate that we're in. So I'm asking you all to get involved any way you can. And from both Mary and me, we just want to thank you for being there, for participating, and being open to this conversation. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Steve.
Thank you, Steve.
And if I could just add one thing before you wrap up, Justine, and appreciate all the panelists that have been great leaders for the team. And again, we have such an amazing team, but often I think about when I can't sleep at night and I'm, nervous about, some of this resistance that's getting in the way of the project succeeding and moving forward. Just imagine what if these couple of blogs that are spewing negative information, largely inaccurate, became super positive blogs. That we had tons of people together going, what can we do to help? How can we get down there and get united, guys? Let's help this thing. This is our investment. Let's fight for it. Let's give ideas to Oceans Group. Let's get behind this thing. Imagine all those blogs were that positive. That would be wind in our sails. That would allow us to execute on this plan. And I totally agree with Steve. You have nothing to lose by being positive. And you have everything to lose by being negative and not being part of the solution. So hopefully you see we're doing our part. We're doing everything we can. And we know we have not been perfect, specifically me. I've made mistakes along the way. But we hope we can stop looking backwards and start looking forwards and work together. You can see what's happening here. This is going to happen if we can work together and make it go. So really appreciate everybody's continued support and look forward to the breakout discussions. Please let the owner services know. I'd be happy to be part of those. I really enjoyed it. The one on property last week or 2 weeks ago. So just thanks to everybody. I don't know if anybody else wanted to say anything else before Justine wraps up.
Oh, it's all you, Justine.
No. Well, I just want to say thank you to everybody that attended this presentation. This is a lot of information, so we'll be sending out the link to you shortly. And again, as Joe mentioned, if you guys have any questions or concerns, we can set up a Zoom group discussion. Just let owner services know, and we'll set up a time to do that. Again, thank you for your continued support, and we'll do this again soon.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Everybody.